Boys, I come to you with some unfortunate news. I'm going to be riding a lot less in 2026. Now, it's not for the usual reasons, oh, I got into an accident, I'm scared, or oh, these bikes are too powerful, oh, blah, blah, blah. The real reason is actually something much more pedestrian, much more normal, much more, man in his 30s. So, as some of you might know, I am a dad. I have a wonderful 18-month-old little girl. I love her to bits and pieces. I love my family to bits and pieces. And the exciting news is, in May of this year, I am welcoming our second little girl into the world. It's going to be so exciting. I'm going to be a double girl dad. And some of you who have families know, time becomes a very limited commodity when you have a kid. And it turns out it becomes an extremely limited commodity when you have two little kids. So I am going to be pretty pressed for time, it seems. I already kind of know how this is going to feel because this is our second time doing it. So I know that those first couple months going to be sleepless nights, going to be a lot of, taking care of the family, a lot of, grocery runs, all the sort of things you got to do to take care of a brand new family. And I'm really excited for the challenge. I'm super pumped, but the big question mark becomes, wait a second, what about riding my beloved motorcycles? What about getting out there on the road? And the thing that's going to change is it's going to become a quality over quantity game. Several years ago, when I was deep in the throes of Yaminu, which I still am, I was traveling a lot, doing press events all the time. I would go out on big trips and ride. I was riding, 3, 4, 5 times a week, commuting to the office, riding on weekends, going out to the track. Like, it was literally all the time. And I've already noticed that over the years, it's just been kind of slowing down a little bit, very naturally. It's not something that I'm actively being like, oh, I just want to ride a motorcycle less. All it is like, when I do get the chance to ride, I just want it to really mean something, to be really good. Because I haven't really been commuting by motorcycle in the last several months either, which is something I used to do a lot. So we recently moved, and now I'm a little bit closer to Yamanoob HQ, and truthfully, it just feels a little silly getting all geared up and ready to go just for a 15-20 minute ride. And the other thing about it too is I did this a lot last year, and it started frustrating me so much. I was commuting to the office, and riding a motorcycle in Texas, while it can be wonderful, while I really do enjoy it, we don't have lane filtering laws here. And I'm the type of person that, I follow the law when it makes sense. But if I find a law to be unjust, I simply don't follow it. And I find lane filtering laws to be unjust here in Texas. I have a bit of a libertarian streak in me in that way, where I just want to do my own thing, and I know I'm being safe. I'm not infringing on anybody else. But what happened is I got pulled over like 4 times last year by law enforcement officers who believed what I was doing to be unsafe or not part of the code or whatever, and it just frustrated me, I was sitting there thinking, like, I am operating this machine in a way that is completely sensible, completely safe, is applicable to the vast parts of the world. But yet here, because of some little law that got written a few years ago that explicitly outlawed lane filtering, I can't do it. So all that to say, there's not much benefit to commuting on a motorcycle for me at this stage in my life. It doesn't save any time, and I can't lane filter. And it's very short, so it doesn't really make sense for me to get all geared up and to not get any benefit that I can't just jump in my truck and go do something, right? So, haven't been commuting. Track time has been dwindling down because of family commitments and all that sort of stuff, because the track is about 4 hours away from me. I gotta jump in the truck and take the bikes up 4 hours up to Eagles Canyon Raceway, which is where I do a lot of tracks. And on top of that too, COTA went private recently. This is the last year the track days are going to be publicly available at COTA for motorcyclists, and after that they're basically shutting it down, and it's going to be a private playground for the very, very rich. Buy-in is $1 million, and monthly fees are upwards of $20,000 a month. Now, you guys know, Papa Yam's doing pretty okay for himself, but I don't have a cool milli to just drop on something like that just so I can go do track days, and I don't even think they allow motorcycles. So anyways, the track stuff has been kind of getting down here, and I'm just taking a look at the broad landscape of my life and realizing that life is long, and I intend on riding a motorcycle for a very, very long time. And I understand that it is the season of life that I am in that I just won't get as much seat time as I used to get. Actually, days like this where I go out and I do some vlogs on the giveaway bikes, which, by the way, of course, I do have to mention this beautiful Moto Guzzi V7 giveaway motorcycle, yammy.co. Click the link, support the show. It's a great thing to do. This time that I get during the week is lovely. I go out, I ride, I film some vlogs, I do the things I got to do. And, traffic is really light because it's, during the week, and it's, I think, like 11 o'clock right now. And I'm so fortunate I get this time. I get to just cruise through the beautiful hills here in Austin and enjoy a motorcycle. And, I've just realized that I don't need to ride a lot, but I do need to ride. I was talking to my wife about this and a couple of our family friends and other friends, basically trying to understand, like, hey, should I stop riding altogether? And it's so hard for me to say yes to that because you look at on paper, right, where if you have, this hobby that you do that is, you don't have to do it. I don't have to ride motorcycles. It is 37 times more dangerous per vehicle mile. I've already done it for over a decade, so it's not like I'm missing out on anything. I think any reasonable person would probably look at that and say, you know what, I think I'm just going to hang up the helmet. But us motorcyclists are not reasonable people, are we? And I try to explain to people, and if they don't ride, they really just don't get it, that it's something that you can't just simply give up. It's something you can't just simply stop doing. Because the feeling of being on two wheels, I've talked to you guys about this a lot, there's nothing like it. When I swing a leg over motorcycle, everything just goes calm. I just get so happy. I just feel so just warm and fuzzy inside, man. I've been doing this for a while now, for almost a third of my life, which is crazy to say, but yeah, like 33% of my life I've been riding a motorcycle. And so just on that alone, this has been an incredibly important and like core fixture of my life. And so I really don't ever see myself being one of those guys that says, hey man, I had kids, I had to stop riding. Because I practice what I preach, right? I tell you guys all the time, there are strategies, there are ways you can ride a motorcycle that is exceedingly safe. And I've met several people who have put on, 500,000 miles across 20 years, no accidents, no issues. Because I do firmly believe that you are the maker of your own destiny. You don't have to crash your motorcycle. You can avoid these quote-unquote acts of God. And I think about it this way, right? Like, if I'm not commuting, if I ride maybe once a week for 2-3 hours at best, right? Let's be realistic here. The odds of something happening with someone who is trained, like I wear all my gear, like I ride basically the same roads pretty consistently, I understand them very well. It's a really low chance. And you know what? At the end of the day, people die doing all sorts of stuff, right? People die slipping in the shower, dude. People die when they go outside to go walk their dog, they trip on the stairs, they hit their temple on the ground, and they're dead. So I'm not going to live a life where I'm scared or not going to ride a motorcycle because I'm worried that something might happen. Something could happen regardless. I could wake up tomorrow and have colon cancer, and then I've got 6 months to live, and then I'm just dead. And then I say, oh, but I didn't spend all that time riding bikes, and I mitigated the risk. Dude, life's a risk. Fiddler! Fuck it, dog, life's a risk, And I want my girls to see me as the man that I am. Confident, capable, doing the things I love. Like, I love my family, but I'm not going to be defined by the fact that I'm a father and limit myself just by the fact that I'm a father, And I'm going to do it safely, and I'm going to do it in the way that I want, because that's my life, man. I'm super excited to share the recent winner of our latest sweepstakes. Braden in Houston actually won the Honda Hornet 750, and I was able to deliver it to him in person. Check it out. Yeah, well, congratulations. I'm really excited for you on this bike. Delivered here in the Houston area. You said you're heading off to the Marines, though, right? So you may not keep the bike?
Yeah, maybe not. Probably not.
Okay, probably.
June or July, I'm going to leave, I believe.
Yeah, well, at least it'll be here in a good home. And, well, if you see it come up for sale, maybe you pick it up from Braden over here, but hopefully you get a chance to ride a little bit, have some fun, and big congrats to Braden over here. So big congrats to Braden on winning the Hornet 750. If you want to win this Moto Guzzi, head over to yammynoob.co and become a member for your best chance to win. You'll get access to our Discord server and automatic entries to win this motorcycle. Click that link and don't miss it. But it does have to look different. Like I said, there's no way to have, you know, 2 little kids and, you know, God bless my wife. I'm not going to leave her alone with 2 under 2 for a weekend while I go gallivant at the racetrack. I'd have to offer up a big old trade for that to work. I'd be like, okay, you go take a 5-day spa vacation and then I'll go do 2 days at the track. How about that? Maybe I could swing that. So maybe all it is, it's not that you run out of time, it's just that the expenses blow out of control because you have to trade everything in your life, you know? Everything becomes double. I joke with her all the time that I'm like, oh, can I get this bike? What do you think? Like, oh, should I buy this? Should I buy that? And then she's like, oh, okay, you buy that, we'll renovate the kitchen. I'm like, well, this bike all of a sudden is now double the price, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, the riding's going to have to change, boys. You guys are still going to see me ride on the channel, of course, but I'm sure you've already noticed that there's not as many, and I guess the content also, like, you know, making motovlogs is great. I think it's a lot of fun jumping on the bike like this and talking more non-scripted, but truthfully, these videos don't even perform that well. I make them because I like them, and I think it's cool to have you guys really see me riding and see me practicing what I preach, because if I'm just some dude sitting in a chair talking to you about bikes, at some point people are like, all right, does this guy even like actually ride or what? Like, this guy's just sitting around talking about motorcycles, but I've never seen him actually ride a motorcycle, and that's just kind of weird for the brand, right? But yeah, man, life is long. I've met lots of guys who, you know, kind of like that 50-plus crowd. I think it's either they do ADV or track days. It's where you kind of go one of 2 paths. You know, kids are a little bit more grown, you've got a little bit more time, it's not as hectic and crazy as it was when they were little, and then you're able to go out and enjoy, you know? Like, you don't feel like you're as needed as much, you know? Like, you quote-unquote did your job of raising the kids, and so, you know, if on the off chance you are riding on the track and you break a leg or whatever, it's not going to be as big of a deal, and I'm very much committed for the long term in this stuff, and I'm excited to see how it transforms and changes. One thing that's been really cool is because the quantity of riding has gone down, every time I get on a bike now, I just think to myself, what a treat. I feel so grateful. I have so much gratitude when I'm on a motorcycle nowadays, where I'm just so stoked to just be on one in general. Like, you know, honestly, if you'd have told me 5 years ago that I'd jump on, like, you know, a green little Moto Guzzi, and I would just be so thrilled. Like, when I got on this bike today to come out here and film, I was just so happy. I just thought, yes, I'm on a bike. At least today, I'm on a bike. And that's all you can really hope for in this life, man. You got to take those moments and just really appreciate them. You got to recognize when you're in a good moment and really appreciate it. I think that's something that I wish I did in my 20s a little bit more, was noticing when I was just in a beautiful moment and really feeling it and really enjoying it. You're really just like luxuriating in it, you know? It's like when you take a bite of some really good food and you just savor it. Chew slowly. Let it sit on your taste buds, you know, swallow, feel that aftertaste, you know, just kind of like simmer and really appreciate it. Maybe I've used that analogy because I had some really good Korean food last night, but I don't know, man. That's how I feel about it. I think you should just approach it with that mindset of like, oh, it's such a treat I get to do this at all, you know? And as many of you guys know, I was in a very serious motorcycle accident almost 10 years ago now, back in 2017. And I think that automatically gives me a ton of perspective on motorcycling, because I've been there, I've done that, I've gone through the rehab, I've gone through the physical therapy, I had to rebuild myself, relearn how to ride, relearn how to use my right hand, which still has nerve damage, and so I really deeply feel the consequences that can come from riding these things in an incorrect way. And I hope that that carries through. But you know what? On a separate note, you know what got me kind of shook up on this recently was Zach Quartz's accident, man. Zach Quartz had such a nasty accident on track, and he's someone I deeply respect, and I really value his opinion. I think he's one of the best to ever do it. And, you know, that guy, he's more capable and faster than I am on track. And I watched his track footage where he crashed. I watched it so many times, just trying to understand, like, what went wrong here, you know? And it kind of spooked me a little bit, thinking, like, geez, man, like, I go out to the track all the time. I ride my bike all the time. And, you know, I think that because I'm skilled and because I've taken many advanced rider courses and I've raced and I've done track days and I've done all the stuff you'd imagine that would keep you safe. He's done all that and more, and he still had it happen to him and had a life-altering injury and had to put a big pause on what he was doing and what he was working on. And so that really sits with you, you know? That really sits with you when you think, like, just even today, like, I could be cruising around here. It could happen, you know? It could happen, but you can't live in fear. You cannot live in fear. Once you start living in fear, it's game over. You might as well hang up the towel. And then you end up one of those washed up guys that always talks about coulda, shoulda, wouldas. And I am not going to live my life that way, man. Absolutely not. I'm going to live at full tilt. I'm going to live at full gas in the way that makes sense for me. But yeah, I really felt for Zach in his crash, man. I really did. That was just such a nasty incident that I can't make heads or tails of it. I was like, why did this dude crash? It didn't make any sense. And I'm sure he thought the same thing and just sat there with it and was, you know, probably thought like I did, like, oh, that can't happen to me. And he was at, well, the crazy part is, like, we often think about, it's like, you know, I never think about the track being that dangerous, honestly. Because, like, you crash, you usually just slide out. Like, man, he was wearing an airbag vest, of course, all the safety equipment. He was at a press event on a prepared track on a brand new motorcycle, and he gets that happen to him, you know, like, just totally messes up his ankle. It really kind of spooked me, I'm not gonna lie, but I think enough time has passed from it to where I think, all right, you know, like, shit happens, you know what I mean? Just chalk that up to the shit happens category. But it's nice to see that he's back in action. But, you know, as someone who works in the industry and someone who makes content and someone who, you know, in a way looks up to him, I think he's the best to ever do it, right? Like, it's just, it's a bit scary, you know, and it is a reality check, I think, for all of us. I think anytime you see somebody crash, like I remember when Jigsaw crashed last year, when Doodle fell on that Janus, which, granted, I don't think that would happen to me on the Janus. I whipped that Janus as hard as I could, and I could not get it to crash. But no, I chased on two wheels, crashed into a car. Like, there's so many people that have been getting messed up, and I'm just like, damn, is my time coming? You know, like, is it going to happen to me? But you just never know. You never know. Maybe I go another 10 years and nothing happens, and then one day I'm just not focused and boom, you know, I low side or I high side or I hit a deer or something happens, you know. You just never know what can happen, man. All that to say, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this rather long and rambly little vlog about what's going on with me and my riding. Let me know if your riding is changing in 2026. Let me know if it has changed over time, if you have found yourself in a position where you kind of thought, I need to take a back seat to this, or I need to change what I'm doing. I'd love to hear from the community on this, and perhaps some wisdom from our elder squids who are in the audience as well. I really do appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Thanks so much for checking out today's video. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.